It's good to have you join us again for your favorite program. This is Close Flow coming to you from NTA2 Lagos Network Center. And because we are your reach out station, we are actually reaching out to the whole country, the entire Nigerian country, and of course all our citizens all over the world on, well, another critical element of our nationhood. So what are we looking at again today? Well, incidentally, we have two distinguished Nigerians who are going to be unraveling some of the queries we are going to raise here today on this show. Now, the critical element would be the fact that the narrative about Nigeria in terms of our political experiences, is that narrative now being changed or still remaining as disappointing or as deflating as it used to be? Would the Nigerian political space be occupied by the Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, or are we still going to be recycling the octogenarians? Now, are we saying to ourselves as a nation that, okay, so where is going to be the next step for all office seekers in Nigeria? Politically, are we going to be looking at some kind of philosophy that will convince us or guide us or, as it were, instruct us on what we should do as a nation in defining where the story of Nigeria should head? So in this edition of the show, like we have said, we have invited all of you to join us. You are part of this conversation. It is important that you call us or you join us or you raise your own query on what we are going to be doing on this show today, because we are looking at the 2023 elections. We have just done the first part of it. We are going to be looking at the second part shortly. Are we now looking at voters' education or voters' information? And are we actually having a safe environment for all participants at these elections? These are the germane issues we are going to be examining today. I have with me two distinguished Nigerians. You're going to get to see them shortly. I just gave you that teaser. Now stay with us and we shall be back.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more. Hey beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight.
Now reading page 3.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Thank you for staying with us. And of course, I must thank my producer for letting us enjoy that electronic e-flyer so that every guest who is here and all our viewers at home are aware, are conscious that I'm sandwiched between two distinguished Nigerians. One is an environmentalist, the other person is a public analyst. So how am I going to navigate the intelligence of these two distinguished Nigerians? So let me welcome first well, my environmentalist, that is, I call him Prof. Incidentally, very soon you get to know why I call him Prof. Okay, Shagun, you're welcome to.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Larry, well, this is my old school. We have been at this together for a long while, so you're welcome. Happy many years.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, great. So I have Shagun, I have Larry. So where do I start? I wish I could actually throw that to our viewers so they can tell me where to start from. And then maybe I will give a prize for that next edition of the show. I'm going to do that and see where. So now, I will throw it open. Now, what should we consider to be the very critical imperatives to host or to actually hold or to actually manage a successful election? Who wants to take the leap? Okay, Larry, let's go. As an analyst?
I think everything in life revolves and is a learning process. And I think we have to give some certain people the benefit of doubt in some things they do, especially when we have to, use the word is a learning process. It is work in process, and I think it's work in progress. And I think for me, I still believe that it's not that bad. We are being hopeful that one day we are going to get it right. There is no perfect situation anywhere, even in America, in UK, and every other place. But we are being hopeful. We have to be consistent in whatever we are doing. We have to persevere, in our approach to things, believing that one day we'll get
there.
it right.
Okay, so Shagun, so the resolution.
Yeah, for me, I think this is an eye-opener, just like Larry rightly mentioned. Democracy is here to stay, if you agree with me. Democracy is here to stay, because, I mean, we've had an election cycle, we're moving forward, we've done the first phase, of course, glitches here and there, but it is understandable with elections. And then we're going to the second phase of the election. That in its own is a progress, if you ask me. Nigerians have made progress to at least, I mean, it's not an anarchy situation. You understand? So that what that signifies is that democracy is actually growing in Nigeria, and I think we should embrace it. Just like Larry said, every step we would learn. Like the 25th election. Of course, INEC are going to take into a lot of things into consideration. Yeah. Going forward to the 11th, they're going to, make sure they improve on what they said. And that is the beauty of democracy, So a lot of people that probably jackpot thinking Nigeria was going to scatter. But, we're here. Nigeria is going to work. We have a president now. Going forward, we'll elect our governors, and Nigeria would move. I'm sure Nigerians just want to move on with life and
beautiful. I must if my viewers will allow me, I should actually take off my hat for these two young men for those opening statements. Shows us the optimistic level of how we can manage this country. Now, but Larry, because you're an analyst, it is critical that you tell us. Now, knowing how critical public awareness can, turn around, an agenda or a promise that you want to give to the people. I will come back to him because he's had some kind of experience in that. But you as an analyst, knowing how critical public awareness can change or can alter or can influence certain national issues, certain public issues, are you sure it is voters' education or voters' information or voters' awareness that we did not carry out, or what exactly, what happened?
I think to the people, I will give it to the Nigerian masses. I'll give it to the Nigerian people. and I also give it to social media, because the influence of the social media, personally, I think we saw what, happened in the net, and the awareness was more than what we experienced 2015, 2019. It was massive this time around, in as much as one could say that, the agencies that are supposed to do a lot of things, we are not well captured. I'm talking about the National Orientation Agency and so many other agencies of government. For me personally, if I must be honest with me, they did not do enough. You understand me? I won't say anything because you don't know what they have, but they didn't do enough, for us to say that this is what they've done. But I think the people also encourage themselves, because in the reality of things, you have to take decisions. People woke up to take decisions for themselves. People worked for themselves, even using the social media, which is a tool that really, woke up, the consciousness of the people, to the reality of where we are. So I think it has done a wonderful thing, and I think also the political party in one sense, because if you look at the 2015 election, the 2019 election, and this 2023 election, there is a very departure from the normal, idea of seeing people buying corn, going to the street, going to the models, carrying something or doing a lot of things happened 2019, 2015, which we didn't see here. It was all about what do you offer, what can you offer to the people. It's all about your relationship with the people. It has to do with the sensitization of the people involved, the practitioners involved. And you see how so many of the political party failed in this particular election. They failed well. There are some certain new political parties that made a landmark, to have some certain things that was not there before. So for me, I really think the awareness was there, but in the institution of government, I didn't see much. I was asking myself in some certain areas, where is the National Orientation Agency? Because that one would have been a collective thing. Because any message that is coming from the political party, some people might say, oh, who are they? These are political, I'm not a member of this, I don't want to hear them, or in their platform and so many other things. But we would have had a unified agency of government that has a clear responsibility that would have moderated all those things, and and it's supposed to go well for us. But then, all things being equal, I think we are heading somewhere. We are making progress.
Yes, you are still very optimistic.
Yeah.
You're not giving up yet.
No.
Okay, now so let's borrow your brains.
Okay.
You were part of the COVID-19. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Rescue team.
Yes, response team.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's rescue and response?
Yes.
Because if you do not respond properly, there will be no rescue.
Yes.
Now,
exactly.
okay, borrowing from your brains,
Okay.
critical awareness may either negatively or positively impact.
Yeah.
So, how do you relate that to this election?
Rightly so. Now let me give it a brief analysis of what happened during the COVID-19. COVID-19, it came as a shock to everybody,
The whole world.
the whole world. And I tell you what, the leadership, let me use Lagos State as an example. The leadership of the governor Sanwo-Olu, executive governor of Lagos State, did something that was unprecedented. In a short manner of time, he put up an emergency response team that carried all the facets of emergency response, from prevention to mitigation to preparedness to response and recovery. I can break that down for you.
No. We already have the gist of that.
Yeah.
Up to recovery.
Yes.
So you are saying even if you have responded,
yes,
you still need to now look at the post.
Exactly. Which the post-COVID was the recovery, and there were policies that were being introduced for
to
next
guide,
time,
yes,
to guide people next time. Now just like what he's saying, it's as the incident commander, you have to make sure every parastatal is working. In this election,
You gave us an example.
An example with the national orientation.
Yes.
Now, it was the onus of INEC chairman to have made sure all his organs are functioning perfectly. Unlike what happened he had 4 years, the INEC chairman had 4 years to prepare, but the Lagos State governor he came
weeks.
and he had
weeks.
He had weeks to prepare. And guess what? In the shortest of time, the Lagos State governor did something unprecedented. He actually started disinfecting Lagos State. he was the first person that did that, and every other state
Borrowed
the idea. You understand? So it was like he created that model for every other state to borrow from. You know, he was very proactive. You know, even in the isolation center, you can see he put himself in harm's way. He would visit the isolation center as frequent as he could. He worked with his minister, with his commissioner for environment. He worked with his
health commissioner.
With his health commissioner. They were on top of their game, and every state were looking at like, wow, this governor, this is the kind of leadership we want. You understand? So he, you know, he showed by example. He led. He went there. He went. You know, a lot of people were scared. A lot of people were in their home. People didn't want to come out. No, to be quite honest, I was even feeling for him at some point, thinking, I'm sure this governor don't come and get COVID.
You are threatening yourself.
Yeah, exactly, because he was putting himself in harm's way. He went, irrespective of your ethnic divide. He went to every isolation center, visited people. Now, that is the governor you're looking at, somebody leadership. And just like what Larry said, you need somebody that can handle leadership and, you know,
responsibly,
responsibly have the master stroke and make sure every agent of government does what they're supposed to do so that we can have a good, free and fair election.
Okay, he has given us a summary of what can motivate, okay, both, all stakeholders, as it were, you know, the political parties, the voters, even those who are actually helping us to manage or to monitor these things. Now, but Larry, my question is this: are Nigerians so apathic that when it comes to national questions or national issues, what we say and what we do, there's a mighty gulf? Now we have almost 90 million registered voters, but the turnout was less than. I mean, what caused the disenfranchisement? Is it a natural disenfranchisement, or people just did not want to come out because of threats?
I think on that particular aspect, you saw what happened. You know, if we must be honest with ourselves, you know, the conduct of some certain characters within the system created a vacuum. You know, and that was what created that emptiness. Everybody
decided to move away.
We saw in that particular something. I don't think it's more of the threat because people were determined, you know, to come there. But you
got to the location, yes.
Where so many
beavers
people
and
could
all
not
that,
get
yes.
their PVCs. It was not there. People went there. Oh, go and put up an incident form. You do this and do that. So many voters' cards we are seeing in the trash can, in the canals, and so many other things. A lot of things played out. And when you look at the projection of INEC,
yes,
you understand me, the number of registered voters, you will discover that it increased. And if we had about 20-something million in 2019 and 2015, it would have increased, very much in this 2023 by
yes,
the projection of INEC.
Yes.
So where were those voters? So I don't think it was a result of any other things. I know many of them played part, but some certain things that maybe unforeseen circumstances, you know, created that particular vacuum there. And I feel, you know, moving forward, INEC need to up their game,
okay,
and a lot of agencies of government need to do the needful, especially that INEC. INEC has a lot to do in subsequent elections, because what people saw in this particular election, according to what because we're always there listening to people, you know, we get the feel from them. Many people, it might create that sensible apathy, you know, which I don't want us to see it in this particular, election coming on, in 11th.
Yes.
So, and that is why we are trying to make people to understand that you shouldn't allow anything. America today has passed almost 200 years. We are still, learning in a lot of things. You know, there is give and take, and some certain things, some changes, some adjustments, are being expected, especially from INEC. And I wish that, moving forward, a lot of focus should be on INEC, not only by what they say, just
but
like
us,
if I
yes,
must go with
yes,
your intro regarding that. It's not about what they tell us, because INEC told us a lot of things, that we are going to be dependent on the beavers, we are going to do this, transmission should be this. And at the end, what we saw in that election, a lot of questions, have been raised regarding that. So we are being hopeful that one, we can have people who can hold on to their words.
Just like you said,
You understand?
responsible
Yes,
leadership.
Responsible leadership, you know. So people who can trust, people that can say, let this be, and Nigerians will believe. So that we don't create that voter apathy in people feeling that, oh, my vote doesn't count. You understand me? And I'm trying to tell people that we should move on. Your votes must count. It's already counting, and we should be consistent and persevere. That on the long run, we will have cause to smile as Nigerians and as a people.
Segun, you must agree with what Larry has said.
No,
the resilience, the natural resilience of Nigerians. He's saying persevere. So go out and vote. But wait, before you respond to that.
Okay.
The international observers are actually also saying that the inability of INEC to comply strictly with the Electoral Act and the election guidelines became a deflaming impact.
Yeah, well, I agree, but I also have an argument, another argument. If you look at the amount of registered voters in Lagos, I think Lagos has the highest registered voters.
In the country, yes.
Now, post-election, the results and the people that voted, you'll be like, you question the figures. Why do they have less people? You have
coming out to vote.
Yeah, coming out to vote. That was irrespective of the malfunctioning of beavers or whatever. You understand? We still had a small turnout. That's post. So for me, that's something of concern. I really don't have the answers for that. Perhaps maybe people can shed light on that, because Lagos has the highest registered voters. And
well, okay, Larry says the apathy. So what discouraged Lagosians, for instance, from coming out? What do you think discouraged them?
Pre-election.
Yes.
Because he was talking about the post.
Yes.
Whatever happened that affected that election was before the election. Because I will give myself as an example. I transferred my vote from Sulere to Ikoyi here. You understand me? And I was consistent. I obeyed every guideline of INEC so that I can collect my voter's card.
And vote.
But unfortunately, my PVC was nowhere to be found. I did all the incident form. I just want to answer your question because it's one of those things. And we saw people shouting about it. So is there that particular aspect of INEC not doing enough to make sure that people get their PVC? You understand me? That one is one. Secondly, you look at the security report and some certain things that came out that time. I think the police tried. I will give it to the police this time around, because even the army, there was a time a week or 2 weeks before, there was mop-up going on, in so many areas, those flashpoints in Lagos State. They tried their best, and that was what gave out some certain people the confidence to come out and vote. So they were everywhere. The army was everywhere. The police were everywhere, mopping up some of all these miscreants so that people can have peace. So I really think that a lot of job need to be done by INEC. INEC in particular has a responsibility to be responsive, to the cries of the people regarding the elections.
Okay, great. Because the conversation is about you, all Nigerians, wherever you are, all over the world. Now, Larry has actually laid maybe the gamuts on the table for us for INEC to also respond as part of this conversation, which is to say that, okay, look, Segun says responsible leadership can actually give confidence to the citizens. But now let me come back to Segun and query that. Now, is it possible, from your own experience, coming from COVID-19, can we actually find a way, the culture of generating impartial report, the capacity or the capability to review a situation and actually share the report of that situation with everybody?
Of course.
It is possible.
Of course it's possible. Like I said, I'll still
keep going back
to the COVID-19, because that is what I have experienced. You can only speak about what you've experienced. Now, okay, like I always use Lagos as an example. During the COVID-19, there were a lot of incident centers, test centers, collation centers for COVID, so every department functioned. You understand? That was as a result of the leadership. They put those things in place, and everybody functioned. Like I said, you can go here, they can say this. The INEC chairman can come and say this, but how, the steps, are they all going to follow suit? You understand? So the leadership that was during the COVID, the leadership of the incident commander, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, you can see that he made sure everybody functioned. We were updated on the COVID cases. There were, isolation points. There were, every other incident was being reported. The affected case, the death rates, and all of that. Every other first aid seemed to function. I don't know why INEC. Well, I mean, you understand?
Not get it right.
So
okay.
That's why I keep questioning leadership.
No, before Larry now respond to that, okay. I want us to quickly look at the fact that INEC, incidentally, in response to the Electoral Act, the change in the Electoral Act, rolled out some new, methods, some, electronic transmission, for instance, some dashboards and all that. Okay. Now, so what are we saying? Are we saying that even in the implementation of those electronic gadgetry or dashboards or monitorings or reportorial lines, are we saying INEC did not also deliver, did not meet up with the requirements?
Yeah, so, I mean, they did. I mean, when I went to vote, I mean, like I said, I always use myself and experience. And of course, when I went to vote,
the beavers worked.
The beavers worked. In fact, I didn't even, in fact, he asked me for my name. So I gave him my first name. And before I could say my second name, he told me my second name. So obviously, from the first recognition,
yes,
the beavers pulled out my
identity.
So it worked, and
wow.
Of course, at some,
wait.
How
long did this take?
Well, to be honest, plus minus some 45 seconds. For the facial recognition. I'm talking about my experience.
I know.
45 seconds, they uploaded. I'm from Sulere Constituency 1.
And you have such a crowd there.
Exactly. In fact, my polling unit is where you have the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Badamila,
yes.
and Honorable Desmond
Elliott. Yes.
So it was, Beavers worked, results were uploaded. Yes, but I'm not also going to shy away from the fact that
in some other areas,
their experience was the reverse for them. They experienced, what I went through. For them, they had glitches. I mean, it's understandable. So I'm not going to take away that, of course, that there was no beavers malfunction in some areas. Of course, it did. We saw it and all of that, but it also functioned in some areas.
Okay. Okay, yes, Larry, yes, go ahead.
I don't think it's a case of the malfunctioning of the beavers, because that one was not in doubt that the beavers worked. We are talking about the uploading.
The IREF.
You understand me?
That's the IREF.
Yes, the IREF and the transmission. That
yes.
is where the issue lies. And also, in some certain areas, like in Lagos here, you have that particular issue with the upload and the transmission. That is the major issue. Some were uploaded and transmitted.
But some.
Many, especially the presidential election, from what we got, even from INEC and even the people on the streets, you had the issues of the code. They were not given, the people in the fields were not given the code, to open some portals and some certain things. So a lot of things happened, which is only INEC
that can
answer those questions, because the questions must be asked.
Okay, all right. It's great having Segun and Larry here. They are both professorial, as it were, in their responses to some of the queries we have raised. This conversation is about you, and it's critical because the next stage of the election will be coming up shortly, and you have to go and be responsible as a Nigerian to go and cast your vote. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we expect you to join this conversation, maybe ask both Segun and Larry your own queries or questions or dissatisfaction about what has happened so far. Stay with us.
We must dilate the eyes, we look for if they have cataract, to look at the back of their eyes, they have glaucoma, to do a full workup for them.
You will remember
our government should actually open their eyes, especially southwest of the state.
We're going to be looking deeper than we ever looked in before to ensure that we close all the loopholes.
It manifests as physical symptoms.
And every edition is an arresting conversation with distinguished Nigerians from various strata of the society, bearing their minds on how we can realize the Nigeria of our dreams. Join us live on Close Flow, Monday, every week here on NTA2 Lagos Network Center. Close Flow. The conversation is about you. All right, so yes, okay, we are back, and Larry and Segun are both ready for you to be a part of this conversation. But before we take on your calls, let me just give you dedicated lines. These lines are dedicated for you, specifically for you. So don't go and make don't go and start running around for the numbers that we can reach us. For your SMS messages, please try and reach us on 080-6350-8434. Just text messages. Just send it to that number, 080-6350-8434. Or send us a WhatsApp. If you have data, send us a WhatsApp on 080-2038-4130. 080-2038-4130. WhatsApp us your own queries or your own concerns about how this election actually is going. Now, Larry, before you respond to what Segun has said, comparatively, you also mentioned it earlier on, that democracy in Nigeria is still young, is still evolving, is still emerging, is still being defined. No, but during these formative stages that we're going through, what is the responsibility of all the stakeholders, political parties, government, citizens, even community development agencies? What should be the contribution to defining or structuring what this democracy actually should eventually be?
I think it's a collective responsibility from the government to the people to the political party. And I think the political parties will have now are not doing enough. Because one thing, politics or governance is not only about that voting,
day. Yes.
day you are going to vote. You know, it's only here that politics are not based on ideology. And we must not take that away. And that is why, you know, you see a lot of things happening within the system. Somebody today will be in PDP, tomorrow is here is in APC, the other day will be in Labour. It's because of there is no clear-cut ideological demarcation between the political parties. Like we are just flowing. The system is just working. Everybody is there. You know, you come, you grab what you can grab, you go. You know, until we'll have that kind of mindset that you know, politics need to be ideological. You know, in America, you see about the Democrats and the Republicans, and whenever the Democrats are there, you will see the pattern of their leadership. You know, you can say that this is where they are heading to, in whatever policy you can think of. And this is something that we are praying that we will have in our system very soon, where political parties, you know, will be based on ideology. And again, the people themselves, I think there is a reawakening. The system is coming up. The people are no more focused on political parties, about individuals. If you look at what happened, what played out in this particular dispensation, you will discover that it was about personality, more of character, you understand me, of the person that is contesting. So I think the people are also doing the needful. And again, the government has a much more responsibility. You know, the idea of having a lot of things in the system, which, you know, the association I belong to, the Guild of Public Analysts, we have put, you know,
up a paper.
We put up a paper because we were there on the streets. You know, we monitor the election. A lot of, you know, sentiments has been raised, and a lot of things has come to play on the table that we will submit to INEC, submit to government, to make them to know that there are things they need to impute into that particular, you know, acts of governance process, so that we can have a more trusted, you know, elections Because as I said, I believe that we are in a process. It's a learning process, and I wouldn't like us to always progress in error, but let us always improve in whatever we are doing, and all hands must be on there, both the INEC, the people, the political party, the agencies of government, and even the players themselves. You understand me? And I think a lot of everybody has a duty to perform.
Okay, all right, great. Yes, you want to elaborate?
Just elaborate on what he's saying. Yes, I totally agree with you. However, I think emphasis should be laid on education. You see, we talked about ideologies, but once people are educated, irrespective of your ideologies, they are able to decipher on their own the kind of ideology they want to, or the narrative they choose to belong to.
Yes.
So it's education. So, we have this common problem in Nigeria. There's a disjoint with subnationals. Yes. Now that disjoint carries, it's affecting the whole narrative of Nigeria. So if education from the primary level, secondary level, tertiary, local government, state government, and federal government, if they can synergize, and let the people get proper education. So it doesn't matter if you jump from one party to the other. As long as I'm educated, I can decipher my own ideology that will suit my own narrative and pick my candidate. You understand?
Yes.
So I think the government, just to buttress this point, I think the government should also lay emphasis on voters' education, education in the
civic
all
duties,
sectors, civic duties, and all of that. And even to say this, even some of the INEC officials that actually were on duty conducting this, the election, some of them, they were questionable in terms of their intellect capacity. That's not, their intellect capacity, so which could work against any party, be it APC or Labour. You understand? They could work against any party if the umpire, the people that are meant to umpire, they don't have that intellectual capacity. So it's not a one-way for one person. For one person, yeah.
Okay, all right. I like that. I like what both of you have said. We are still waiting for our viewers to join us so that we can actually share, this conversation across the world. Now, Larry, one thing again I'd like us to do, if you're going to cross-examine, the street level reaction to this first stage of this election, if you're going to cross-examine it, knowing that you're an analyst, you are on the street, you saw both the emotional and the body language of voters and all that. So if you're cross-examining that, what do you see? Do you have the same optimism about the political future of Nigeria, about the democracy, the democratic process of Nigeria? Is it?
No, I have my full faith. You understand me, in the Nigerian, as a Nigerian, in this process. You understand me, because just like I always say, it's a learning process. And I feel that nothing I see now, even in this past election, presidential and National Assembly election, will deter me. But I think the people need to do more. The political parties need to do more. You understand me? So that there should not be that voter apathy that will make people to do whatever they like. Because when you are not there, some of those results must come up. I'm from Imo State.
Yes.
It was unfortunate that in my locality, my local government, there was no election. But when I checked the portal, I saw results. You understand? Olu as a local government. So all those things is something that maybe, but then, it's a learning process, and I feel that a lot of things need to, play well in that particular order so that we will have it best, because a lot of room for improvement, a lot of room for people to be sensitized, a lot of room for even the practitioners themselves. INEC, I wish, I'm praying for one day where we have, just like we have, what agency of government, like agency of government that you have permanent staffs. All this idea of ad hoc scarf, people are brought from left to right, and they just run maybe 1 week or 1 month orientation and training, and you bring them into the system. You know, it's not always good. I think I'm hoping a day where INEC will have their own office in Lagos, not having their office in the local government. You understand? So a lot of things are on table for INEC to take up, because I won't blame the government, I mean the president, because a lot of funds were INEC supposed to work. There's no reason why INEC should not work. Okay. Because the president did everything. Everything was given. We're talking about almost hundreds of billions to an agency to work. So, and I hope that they're supposed to work. There is no excuse for them not to work.
All right, we'll come back to how INEC is going to perform. Again, remember that in Nigeria, we were going to actually set up an infrastructure bank, a system where, yes, infrastructure should be funded. He does give us an example of what that can be, you know, if it's well structured. Now, but let's take it from where Larry has left it. Yeah. And that is the question of if INEC is going to function or INEC is not functioning, how do we query, or how do we have the National Information Act, for instance, that should help us to upload or ask questions of if INEC is not performing. Are Nigerians aware of what they need to ask INEC?
Well, yeah, I get a question, but my answer might not. Okay, just listen to this. For me, I still think INEC is still an umbilical cord of the government. They're not totally independent, because, I mean, for an INEC chairman, I mean, it has to be appointed, or if it's a civil service, you have to rise up to that rank. So there's no way you can actually divorce INEC to be on its own without the input of the government. I mean, it's arguable, but to my own knowledge, I don't see how they're still
they're still connected.
Yeah, they're still connected. However, it boils down to leadership. And I keep saying this, and that's where Nigeria, that's what we need at this point. There's a renewed hope in town. Now, meaning, the minute you get your leadership right, a lot of things will fall in place. Now, you see the voter apathy. In as much as I'm against that voter apathy in terms of let's all just vote on one line without even knowing your candidate or knowing so disjointed. You know, sometimes that voter apathy can disrupt the whole leadership system. Let me use Lagos for example now. Lagos is it's a center of excellence, an exemplary state for other states. In fact, that's why the population of Lagos State, being the smallest landmass, has the highest population, because because business thrive in Lagos. Lagosians, I mean, you know how Lagos is. Lagos is accommodating, you know, because the leadership of Lagos State is working. Now, let me tell you something. The leadership of the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, he's done a lot in Lagos State that other states emulate. In fact, there are states that came all the way from the north,
to learn one or two things, yes,
to understand how governance is. They had these intergovernmental exchange programs where governments will come and study how the government functions. And government is not built a day. It takes experience. So if you're not experienced enough, you cannot sit or be the governor of Lagos State without making sure all the departments function the way they're supposed to function. So it's not a green-on affair. Not just, it's not just enough for somebody without tested leadership skills to come. That's why I keep referring to you about the COVID-19, because when that COVID-19 came as a shock to everybody, the incident commander, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, he took charge of the situation. You understand? He took responsibility, and he delivered on that COVID-19, because he set up that thing at the quickest possible time, the response team and all of that. So it still boils down to leadership. INEC as well, what is the leadership? So I mean, Larry, I understand where Larry is coming from. I'm not going to divorce my Larry's
submission.
Submission. Of course, I hold it, you know, with and all that. But you see, the leadership, who is at the helm of the affair. What is this
Where does
person?
the
What's
buck
this
stop?
person able to do? He spoke about ad hoc, ad hoc staff coming and they get a 3-week quick orientation program. Those are also a function of leadership, because you had 4 years to prepare. So that's why leadership plays a key role. You can't bring somebody that is not experienced. You can't bring somebody that's a greenhorn. See, you're even complaining about that now, and that's what we do in Nigeria. Let the right people be at the helm of the affair, so that leadership can be tested.
This leadership, in what context really are you talking about?
Now, he's looking at INEC being part of the entire structure of governance. Therefore, INEC is not separated from the entire structure of governance. So if the
leadership of the central government, you are
all the way down to INEC.
All the way down to INEC.
Okay, all right. So you don't want to add to that again? You think that is?
I think all of them is all encompassing, right? And I think that nothing will be divorced from the other. But I think every hands must be. INEC themselves has done their bit, which for me, to Nigerians in general, if I might borrow your question, I don't think the streets is palatable with the streets. You understand me? So, but then there is these provisions of the law. The provisions of the law that you take recourse to court.
Yes.
And
as part of the process.
And it's part of the process in electioneering or in elections. So I hope that all those things will come to play. But I still advise that much eyes must be in that particular electoral umpire as from today, so that the qualities of people that will have their mindset, their character, should be weighed appropriately, so that we can have a very sound election.
Okay, now, Sheikh, I have to come back to you, because Larry has just indicated that now. Okay, for voters, not to be just mere onlookers, because oftentimes voters just go to the polling booth, they cast their vote, and the next thing is they stand aside and begin to look. They are not actually monitoring or trying to gather information to report if there is any. So how do we reorientate or re-educate, just like you said?
Yeah, first you need to get INEC, we need to trust INEC.
To start with.
To make sure that whatever guidelines they have, whatever playing field they've set, they should go by their own guidelines and all. Then, of course, voter education it should be a key thing. Now, in my own polling units, there was an experience that I saw, and I'm going to relate that to Larry. Now, a lot of people have bigger thumbs than others. So in the process of voting, you find out that most thumbs, when they thumb print, it goes across that border, Now, I don't think there's enough voter education on that.
But were they supposed to use thumb or the index?
Most people use thumb and their index fingers, and you can see that clearly, some papers were smudged, some people were still crossing the line. So, I mean, that goes to show one thing. It's either it was deliberate or they have not gotten enough voter education, So I think INEC should, before elections, brace up. I mean, they're in the media space. They should engage the media more often. Go into the communities, sensitize them on proper voting, carry out mock voting exercises. So that way, so people would vote accurately. Because in my own polling unit, there were a lot of votes that were invalid. You understand? And for both parties, you understand? APC had some votes that were invalid. Labour Party had some votes that were invalid. PDP had some votes that were invalid. And it could only be as a result of voters' education. So I would say yes, INEC needs to also set up the responsibility and do what would make Nigeria get that trust.
Yes, that is what Larry says. Do the needful so that we can actually get. Now, but Larry, let me come back to you. You are also the recipient of some kind of recognition by international social
Rotary Club
Yes. Okay. Now, so such bodies such communities of citizens. It is global, quite right. We have some international observers here in Nigeria at the moment over this election. So how can such bodies also help to reorientate, to change, like Segun had just indicated, or to motivate those who have been given national assignment on what exactly they need to do to make sure that they actually deliver on what they have been assigned to do?
I think many of them really, I will give it to them. Like the Rotary Club, IKATE, you know, I think they conducted some of all this
Wow, that's Segun is talking about.
Yes, I was talking about. So, and I think they brought people, they went to the markets. I think there was a time they were at Aguda
Market
by Anema Shawu
yes,
and so many other
yes.
things. And they also, at Lawanson and so many other places, they were doing it out of their own.
Yes.
And also JIPA, the Association of Analysts that I belong to, they also did theirs. They were at Computer Village in Ikeja, within those environs. They didn't pass Ikeja,
yes.
but I believe that subsequently they will have the capacity to also spread it across the whole city that they found themselves. So, but I think they did well in Ikeja, in voter education, voter sensitization, and so many other things. And I think it's a collective thing. And I think so many other agencies, so many churches also engaged in some of all those things. You know, yes, you know, so I think civil society and
yes.
a lot of them, you know, participated in trying to find a way that they will bring the people up, you know, to the game, you know, to know the reality, because it's not about going and shouting without you doing something. You understand me? If you see a situation that is not okay for you, the only thing you need to do is to go to the ballot box.
Yes.
Go there and make
Effect
the change. You have to effect the change there, not by crying, not by protesting, you know, or doing any other thing, or stealing and so many other things. So I think the more as we engage this process, you understand me, this process will unveil itself naturally, and people will see that with this kind of process, we can make a lot of things work in Nigeria.
I love that. Again, I must doff my hat to Larry for your optimism and the fact that you are also very... Okay, we have a caller with us now. Quickly, let me see what he's asking. It says, this past presidential election does not match the expectations of the majority of Nigerians. INEC failed in its responsibilities to convince the electorate that it has the capacity to conduct a free and fair election. That's what this fellow is saying. So who is our guest? Beavers did not perform the functions of not Beavers. Beavers shouldn't upload. There's a different dashboard for uploading to their polling units. This eroded the genuineness of the presidential result. Who is our guest? Who is our caller, please? Quickly, my producer, can I have the identity of this opinion? Quickly. Where is that contribution coming from? My producer, please, can we have the identity? Okay, all right, now, so let's have your comment on that. That is an observation from one of our viewers.
Okay, yeah, well, I mean...
so he says the beavers did not work?
Yeah, well, like I said, everybody has their own experience. I can only speak about, they have their right to
say that.
My own polling units, the beavers worked for me. I did my voting and was uploaded. However, I am not denying the fact or shying away from the fact that
in some other
areas, they had malfunctions or not being uploaded and all of that. However, I think the case is in court. I don't think we have any.
It should not be prejudicial.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to talk about a case that's in court and all that. All I know is that yes, a lot of people have different experiences, and I can only narrate my experience.
Okay, going forward, next election. So,
yeah,
quickly, we have only 1 minute.
Okay, going forward, this next election, I want Nigerians to be devoid of ethnicity, to be devoid. I'm a Lagosian. My business is here. Yes, I'm a Lagosian. My business is here. The governor of Lagos State, Waje Sanwo-Olu, I think he's done very well in Lagos. In my own experience, I keep saying the COVID-19 thing for me was something he displayed exceptional leadership skill, capacity that he can deliver under pressure. No state government, no president was even prepared for COVID. When COVID came and the governor of Lagos State scored 100%, he responded well with his team. In his team, they did a perfect job, and of course, you know, that can only show a leadership. And I want the people of Lagos to vote this man, and I mean to support.
Well, you cannot ask them to vote.
No, sorry, to support his kind of leadership skill, and I'm sorry, to support his kind of leadership skill, because that is what we need in Lagos State.
Okay, so he has given us an example. What do you think about that? 1 minute.
I think the people has the choice. The choice is for the people. When you look at your environment, you look at the reality of now, you take a decision. Because at the end, it is going to be you, your family, and your people. It is the responsibility of the people. If you are in Lagos just like I am,
yes,
I won't tell anybody to go out and vote for anybody, because experience is gathered. You understand me? The experience you have now, somebody may
not be different,
in other contexts. So I think it's all about the people of Lagos State. The choice is theirs. There are options for them to choose.
Yes.
You understand me?
Yes.
So when you look
you
at
should weigh
the options, you look at the options, look at the what you believe this person can offer, where he's coming from, where he's going, you know, and you take a decision. It's all yours.
All right, thank you very much, Shego, for coming on the show. Thank you so much, Larry, as always. Old school stuff. Okay, all right, well, so my guests have actually helped us. They have said to us, actually, that the decision to, well, who is going to be next leader, or who is going to be the next governor, the next representative of whatever you think your dream for Nigeria is your decision. You just have to go and take that vote, okay? And if you do it correctly and appropriately, and of course, conscientiously, then surely there's truth about democracy in Nigeria. So until next week, again, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And for all our viewers, it's never over with us on Close Flow. Go to all our social media handles and be sure you are part of the conversation post of this transmission. So until next week, it is bye from us.